What's up, gang? Today we have an alternate build idea that I've had for a while. This alternate build was made out of 2 copies of the Trouble on Tatooine set, so today I bring you the Boba Fett's Tusken Hut. So I know that name is a little confusing because there's no Boba Fett anywhere in this set, and that's because originally my first idea for an alternate build for 2 copies of Trouble on Tatooine was to make the main center tent from the Tusken village that Boba Fett was taken into. And after looking at pictures of it and checking it out again in the show, and then taking a look at the pieces I had before me, I realized I couldn't quite nail the tent shape, so I just went ahead and made a new and improved hut that's expanded. And then as well, I did want to keep a speeder in the set, so I went ahead and made my own version of a speeder bike, which we'll go over on its own. And some of you guys will notice that there's plenty of pieces missing, and that's because you're completely correct. I finished the hut first, then I moved on to my speeder bike, and once I had these 2 completed, I was incredibly happy with them. The look and feel of both of them nailed exactly what I wanted to get out of my alternate build. And with all these extra pieces, I did try to make another speeder bike or a bunch of other mini builds, but it was just nothing that I was really happy with. It was just some things that I was using to use up the pieces, and it just didn't look right. So I didn't want to overdo it and risk ruining what's a good thing, so I just left it with where I felt was good. So now we can go ahead and go over the hut and the speeder bike itself. We'll go ahead and start with the speeder bike. So the speeder bike I'm incredibly proud of. It has the amount of greebling that I wanted it to. It still looks like it would fit in a Tatooine environment the way it's built and the way it looks kind of hodgepodge together. The first bit that I finished was actually this front steering vane right here. This was actually the first completed assembled bit, and it looks like it's off the front of a very small speeder bike when you attach it to this very large body here. And once I noticed that the body was going to be a little large, I decided to add a little bit of story to this speeder bike and how it was built. Tatooine is a very unfriendly environment, and it's definitely not a surplus for treasure. So in my head, this speeder bike is constructed from the front vane of a much smaller speeder bike, but then this larger rear engine from a much larger, more powerful speeder bike. But we'll go ahead and get onto those details as we get further down. On the steering vane, there's not much else to go over. I really like how it's built, and I was incredibly happy with it once it was finished. And I was even able to sneak 2 blasters on the front of it. But moving past the front, we do have the little control panel area, and surprisingly there is actually no control panel included in this set, so you just have the 2 steering handlebars. And then on either side of Mando, we just have a little bit of greebling using some bars, clip bits, and some droid arms. And then on this side, we just have a little bit of different greebling. I actually couldn't use these studs like I could on the other side, so those have to remain blank. But then just behind Mando, on his right side we have Grogu, and then on his left side we just have a little backpack full of supplies. And these clip bits with cheese slopes on them might look like some armrests, but it was actually made to protect Baby Yoda on his side, so there's a little bit of armor plating covering up his little knapsack. But then just behind Baby Yoda and the supplies we have this large rear engine. We still have a little bit of greebling going down the sides with these L-shaped bar pieces right here. And then on this rear engine itself, I went ahead and just tossed as many details as I could. We have those studs, and then that stud piece that has a miniature bar sticking out so you can stick hollow studs onto it. And then on this inside, we have 2 more bars angled towards the back, and then this hinge bit is folded up just a little bit. I wish I knew the actual names of many of the pieces back here so I could better explain the details that I've added in here. But since I don't know, the best thing I can do is show you all the little miniature details that I've crammed in. But that pretty much covers the entire speeder bike. It's a very good looking rugged speeder that I still very much think fits the Tatooine environment. But then now we can go ahead and get onto this main hut area. And the first thing to go over is this did retain the same play features as the hut from the original set, as in it can completely fold out and all the roof pieces can come up. You'll see in the middle of this set I do have this staff bar piece holding up this middle roof. And it's not actually holding it up, it does stay open on its own, but that just helps it stay up just a little bit higher. The folded out bits on either side don't provide much detail, it's pretty much just minifigure space to fit more Tuskens. This main center area is where the hut shines. So we'll go ahead and fold up this roof piece here, and it does actually hinge in 2 places. One where I already hinged it, and then 2 at the top leading into the main center roof. On the center section here, we do have a fire pit for any cooking that they need to do. It does look almost identical to the one from the original set, I have just added in a few extra details here. And then just around it, you have plenty of minifigure space to fit tons of Tusken Raiders. And then here in the center, we actually have where the Tusken Chieftain will sit. We'll go ahead and get this Tusken Raider out and you can get a better look at the staff he has. More precisely, I should say the gaffy stick he has. And I did try and make it look as accurate to the Book of Boba Fett as possible. But the gaffy stick the Chieftain actually has in the TV show is very edgy, it has tons of sharp edges, so it's very hard to emulate that look in LEGO. And then he does have a little bit of a throne. I didn't want to make too grand of a throne because as you see in the TV show, the Tusken chieftain doesn't actually sit anywhere different from the other Tuskens. He sits on the exact same thing as everyone else. But for the sake of the alternate build and adding in details, I did make him his own little ornate looking chair. He has an armrest on either side and of course the headrest, so he has good posture. And then just next to him, he has his own private bowl of food away from everyone else's. So here's what the hut looks like, all closed up. On this main back panel, I would have liked to have some smooth tiles here, but for the sake of structural stability, I did actually have to switch it to studded plates. This unfortunately does retain the gap issue that the original set has. They're just about the same size, if not a little smaller. So you do have a little bit of gaps between the plates, but I don't think it takes away from the exterior look too much because the hut is much larger now. So that negative space really gets drowned out by other portions of the hut. Alrighty gang, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and this alternate build. If you guys did, let me know down in the comments. This one would be a little bit easier to do instructions on, so I would be able to get those out quicker if you guys are interested in that sort of thing. But I hope you guys did enjoy, and I do have plenty of extra pieces, so maybe sometime in the future I'll make an update to this video, making part 2 of what we do with all the extra bits. But other than that, that pretty much covers our new alternate build. I hope you guys enjoyed, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on any mods or alternate builds that I post going forward. LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga just came out, and I do have a few ideas for some content that I could do revolved around that. And as always, please comment any suggestions that you guys have for any alternate builds or mods that you guys would like me to make. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace, fellas.